Hi everyone. So this is my week 3 discussion. So this week's TEDx talked about boundaries, and it deepened my understanding of what healthy boundaries look like in real life, not just in theory. So from the Good Boundaries Free You video, what stood out to me most was the idea that boundaries are not about pushing people away, but it's about creating enough safety and clarity so that relationships, many different relationships, can actually thrive and do better. So Gilman emphasized that boundaries are internal before they're external. So saying that they require self-awareness, emotional regulation, and permission to prioritize my own needs. So what resonated with me was that her point that when boundaries are unclear, resentment often builds up, but when boundaries are healthy, people actually feel freer and more able to be more authentic in their relationships. And then so in the video, what porcupines teach us about boundaries, I appreciated the metaphor of porcupines needing both closeness and space. So it highlighted that boundaries are not about choosing connections or distances, but learning how to balance both of them. Amar normalized the discomfort that comes with setting boundaries, and reminded us that conflict or pushback doesn't actually mean that the boundary is wrong. Sometimes it helps us to remember that it's necessary, and that reframing that was powerful for me. So growing up in my family, boundaries were often blurred. Emotional closeness sometimes meant over-involvement. And there wasn't always clear space for people's individual needs or autonomy. And so I learned early on to prioritize harmony, and that often led to avoiding conflict, which sometimes meant ignoring my own self and my limits. And so while this created a sense of loyalty and connection to my family, I think it also made it harder for me to recognize that when boundaries were being crossed, or when I needed to speak up for myself. So as I consider my current family relationships and my future profession, I hope my future profession, I can see clear areas for growth. So personally, I need to continue practicing that boundaries are both compassionate and firm, and resisting the urge to overfunction or to take responsibility for others' emotions. And then professionally, as someone that's in a helping field, these talks reinforce how essential boundaries are for ethical practices, emotional sustainability, and client empowerment. So healthy boundaries are not a barrier. They're what make long-term meaningful care possible. So overall, I feel like the task reminded me that boundaries are not selfish or rigid. They're in fact an act that is both a form of respect for ourselves as well as respect for others.